A 67-year-old retiree discovers that his son and daughter-in-law are intercepting his pension card for safety, but are actually diverting thousands of dollars monthly. When the bank calls him directly to alert him about suspicious transactions, the protagonist decides to investigate. What he finds is a systematic theft operation that had been going on for 14 months, including luxury purchases, trips, and even a new car, all financed with his retirement money. But the son made a fatal mistake. He didn't know his father had installed security cameras in the house weeks earlier, documenting every conversation about how the old man won't even notice. When the bank statement arrives, not at the son's house as planned, but directly to the protagonist through a strategic mail forwarding, the entire fraud is exposed. The confrontation happens during a birthday dinner with the entire family present, where 16 months of evidence are revealed publicly. The son loses everything: the inheritance, custody of his grandson, the respect of the community, and faces federal criminal charges for elder fraud. If you're enjoying this story of family justice, hit that like button right now. It helps more people find this content. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, so you don't miss the next stories of people who turned betrayal into triumph. Comment below. Have you ever experienced something similar with family members? What would you have done in this situation? Your story might help others. Share this video with someone who needs to know it's never too late to seek justice and reclaim what's rightfully theirs. My son took my pension card 3 days after his mother's funeral, said it was for my own protection. 14 months later, Wells Fargo called me directly about suspicious activity on my account. The woman on the phone asked if I'd recently purchased a $4,200 outdoor kitchen set from Home Depot. I hadn't left my house in 3 days. That phone call changed everything, because when I finally saw my bank statements, the ones my son Michael had been intercepting for over a year, I discovered he'd stolen $47,000 from my retirement account. But here's what Michael didn't know. I'd been recording everything for 6 weeks. Every conversation, every lie, every moment he thought I was too grief-stricken and confused to notice what was happening. What I did next didn't just expose him. It destroyed the carefully constructed life he'd built on my money, in front of everyone who mattered to him. Let me take you back to where this really started, because understanding how I got here matters. My name is Robert Mitchell, 67 years old, retired postal worker after 41 years of service. My wife Margaret died on September 8, 2022, after a brutal 6-month battle with pancreatic cancer. 52 years of marriage ended in a hospice room that smelled like antiseptic and broken promises. The funeral was on September 11th. Small service, maybe 40 people, mostly our neighbors from the Preston Heights community where we'd lived for 33 years. Margaret and I had bought our house in 1989 for $89,000. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 1,800 square feet of modest suburban living. By 2022, the neighborhood had gentrified significantly. Our house was worth $340,000. Fully paid off since 2011. No mortgage, no debt, just a clean title in my name. My pension from the United States Postal Service paid $3,980 monthly. Social Security added another $1,947. Combined income of $5,027 per month, which was more than enough for a widower living alone. My expenses were minimal. Property taxes ran $290 monthly. Utilities averaged $180, groceries maybe $400, insurance and medications another $350. Total monthly expenses around $220, leaving me with nearly $3,800 in discretionary income. Margaret and I had been savers our entire lives. We had $127,000 in our joint savings account when she died. After funeral expenses of $1,900, that left $118,100 sitting in First National Bank, plus another $34,000 in a separate emergency fund. My son Michael knew about all of it. He'd helped me organize the paperwork after Margaret's death, going through files, making lists, ensuring everything was properly documented. Michael is my only child, 39 years old, married to Vanessa for 12 years, father to my grandson Ethan, age 8. Michael works as a middle manager at a telecommunications company, annual salary around $68,000. Vanessa doesn't work, stays home with Ethan, which I'd always respected. They live in a rented townhouse about 15 minutes from my place, $1,900 monthly rent. Not struggling exactly, but not thriving either. Middle-class family trying to maintain appearances in an increasingly expensive world. I'd helped them over the years, paid for Ethan's preschool when they were having a tough year, $4,800 total. Bought them a used minivan when their old car died. $7,200 covered emergency dental work for Vanessa, $2,100. The kind of help parents provide when they can afford it and want to see their children succeed. September 14th. 3 days after Margaret's funeral, Michael came over with Vanessa and Ethan. I was sitting in my recliner. Margaret's favorite blanket still draped over the armrest, trying to figure out how to exist in a house that suddenly felt too big and too quiet. "Dad," Michael said, settling onto the couch across from me, "we need to talk about some practical matters." I looked up from the photo album I'd been holding. Margaret at 35, laughing at some joke I couldn't remember. "What practical matters?" "Your finances, Dad. Your accounts, your bills. Making sure everything gets paid on time." "I pay my bills on time, son. I've been doing it for 40 years. "I know, but with everything that's happened, with Mom gone, you're going through a difficult adjustment period. We just want to make sure nothing falls through the cracks." Vanessa leaned forward, her expression carefully concerned. "Robert, we love you. We want to help during this transition. You shouldn't have to worry about mundane things like bill paying when you're grieving." That's when Michael pulled out a folder. He'd prepared documents, printed forms from my bank, authorization papers for account access. "Dad, I think it would be easier if I managed your pension deposits for a while. Just temporarily, until you're feeling more stable. I don't need help managing my money." "I know, but what if you forget to pay something important? What if a bill gets lost? Let me just hold on to your pension card. Make sure your automatic deposits are working correctly, handle any issues that come up." He made it sound so reasonable, so caring. And I was tired, exhausted from watching Margaret die slowly, from making impossible decisions about morphine dosages and DNR orders, from sleeping alone in a bed that had held 2 people for 5 decades. "Okay," I said finally. "Just for a little while?" Michael's relief was visible. He practically lunged for my wallet when I went to retrieve my pension card. "This is really for the best, Dad, you'll see." "Trust me," I handed him the card. Navy Federal Credit Union, account number ending in 77734. That card represented 41 years of waking up at 5 a.m., sorting mail in freezing warehouses, walking routes in 100-degree summers, working holidays while other families celebrated. Every dollar in that account was earned with sore feet and aching shoulders, and decades of showing up when I didn't feel like it. Michael took the card like it was a sacred trust. "I'll set up automatic payments for all your regular bills," he said. "You won't have to worry about anything. Just focus on taking care of yourself." The next morning, I received a call from Navy Federal confirming that account access had been granted to Michael Robert Mitchell, authorized user, full transaction privileges. The representative was professional and efficient. Everything looked legitimate because it was legitimate. I'd given permission. What I didn't know was that Michael had also filled out a form to have my monthly statements redirected to his address instead of mine. The first month passed quietly. October came with falling leaves and empty spaces where Margaret used to be. I spent my days walking through the house, touching things she'd touched, wearing her reading glasses even though they didn't fit properly, sleeping in her nightgown because it still smelled faintly like her lavender lotion. Michael called twice a week, always asking the same questions. "How are you eating, Dad? Are you taking your medications? Do you need anything?" I'd say I was fine, which was a lie, but the kind of lie grieving people tell because the truth is too complicated to explain. Meanwhile, my pension deposits continued like clockwork. $1,180 on the first of each month. Direct deposit, same as it had been for the past 11 years. I assumed my bills were being paid. Assumed Michael was handling everything as promised. I never saw a statement, never received a notification about my balance, never had any reason to question the arrangement. By November, I started noticing small things. Michael and Vanessa seemed happier, more relaxed. When they came over for Sunday dinners, Vanessa wore new clothes, expensive-looking boots that probably cost $300, a leather jacket I didn't recognize. Nice jacket, I mentioned once. Oh, this old thing? Vanessa laughed. Just a little treat to myself. Found it on sale. Michael had a new watch, too. Fancy thing with multiple dials and a leather band. When did you get that? Anniversary present, he said smoothly. Vanessa surprised me. They left that evening in better moods than I'd seen in years, talking about maybe taking a trip somewhere warm for the holidays. Good for them, I thought. My son deserves to be happy. I was glad they were doing well, proud even. It never occurred to me to ask where the sudden financial improvement had come from. December brought the first real crack in their story. Michael came over on a Tuesday afternoon. Unusual, because he normally worked during the week. Dad, he said, settling into his familiar spot on the couch. I need to talk to you about your account. What about it? There's been some unexpected expenses. Your property taxes went up, and your homeowner's insurance had a premium increase. Plus, your medications are costing more than anticipated. How much more? Michael pulled out a notebook, showed me handwritten figures that meant nothing to me. About $800 more monthly than we budgeted for. I'm covering the difference right now, but I wanted you to know. I can pay you back, I said immediately. I have savings. No. Michael held up his hand. That's not necessary. I just wanted to keep you informed. This is temporary. Once we get through the first year after Mom's death, everything will stabilize. He sounded so sincere, so genuinely concerned about my welfare. I believed him completely. Why wouldn't I? This was my son, the boy I'd raised, the man who'd held his mother's hand during her final days. The idea that he might be lying never entered my mind. January 2023 arrived with bitter cold and increasing isolation. I'd stopped going to my weekly poker game at the Veterans Hall, stopped attending church services, stopped answering calls from concerned neighbors. Grief had turned me inward, made me a ghost in my own life. Michael encouraged this isolation, though I didn't recognize it at the time. Dad, you don't need to rush back into social activities. Take your time. Focus on healing. When my friend Tom from the post office called to check on me, Michael answered my phone. Dad's not feeling up to visitors right now, Tom. He's having a rough day. Maybe call back in a few weeks. Tom stopped calling. So did everyone else. By February, my entire social world had contracted to Michael, Vanessa, Ethan, and the four walls of my house. That's when the financial manipulation accelerated. February 14th, Valentine's Day. Michael came over with flowers, which was thoughtful. Dad, he said, I need your help with something. There's a problem with your account that requires your signature. What kind of problem? Navy Federal is updating their security protocols. They need you to sign a new authorization form, confirming that I have permission to manage your account. He spread papers across my kitchen table. Official-looking documents with the Navy Federal logo, signature lines highlighted in yellow. I signed without reading them carefully. My mistake, the first of many. What I didn't know was that those documents weren't about security protocols. They were authorization forms, giving Michael complete control over my accounts, including my savings. By signing those papers, I'd essentially handed him the keys to everything Margaret and I had built over 50 years. March brought the first major purchase I'd later discover. A 2019 Toyota RAV4, $23,000, financed through my savings account. Michael needed a reliable car, he'd told Vanessa. His old Honda was breaking down constantly, repair costs mounting. Why not use Robert's money? He's not using it for anything, and we'll pay him back eventually. The old man won't even notice. That conversation happened in my kitchen while I was napping in my recliner 15 feet away. I'd later hear every word on the security cameras I'd installed, but in March I was oblivious floating through my days in a fog of grief and pharmaceutical assistance. My doctor had prescribed antidepressants in January, Sertraline 50 mg daily. They made me drowsy, disconnected, easier to manipulate. April was when they got bold. A vacation to Cancun, $6,800 charged directly to my checking account. Michael told his friends they'd saved for months, that he'd gotten a bonus at work. The photos on Vanessa's Facebook were beautiful. Crystal blue water, tropical drinks. My grandson building sandcastles while my money funded every moment. They stayed at an all-inclusive resort, swam with dolphins, took a sunset cruise, living their best life on my retirement savings. May brought a $4,200 outdoor kitchen setup from Home Depot. Michael had always wanted to be the guy who grills for neighbors, hosts backyard parties, plays the successful suburban dad. Now he could afford it. June was Ethan's birthday party. $1,800 spent on a bounce house, catering, entertainment. The kind of extravagant children's party that makes other parents jealous and kids remember forever. Ethan had the time of his life. I wasn't invited. Too overwhelming for you right now, Dad, Michael explained over the phone. Too many people, too much noise. We'll bring you cake later. They brought me a slice of grocery store cake on a paper plate. July was new furniture for their townhouse. $8,900 for a leather sectional, coffee tables, a dining room set that seated 8. Vanessa posted photos online, tagged them as blessed and grateful for our beautiful home. August brought the purchase that would eventually unravel everything. A $8,200 outdoor kitchen, set from Home Depot, a second one, this time delivered to their townhouse. Michael had been so pleased with the first purchase, he decided to upgrade, adding a built-in grill, side burners, a small refrigerator. Living large on stolen retirement money. That's when Wells Fargo's fraud detection system flagged the transaction. The purchase was large, unusual for my account history, and shipped to an address that didn't match my billing address. On August 15, 2023, at 2:47 p.m., my phone rang. Mr. Mitchell. This is Sarah Chen from Wells Fargo Fraud Prevention. I'm calling about some unusual activity on your account. What kind of activity? A purchase yesterday for $4,200 at Home Depot, shipped to an address in Riverside. Did you authorize this transaction? I don't even have a Wells Fargo account, I said, confused. Sir, you have a checking account with us ending in 4421. We show regular deposits from Navy Federal Credit Union, monthly transfers that have been happening since October 2022. That's when the first thread of doubt entered my mind. I don't know anything about transfers to Wells Fargo. Mr. Mitchell, I'm looking at your account history. There have been numerous large purchases over the past 11 months. $23,000 for an auto purchase in March, $6,800 for travel in April, $8,900 for furniture in July. Do any of these sound familiar? No, none of them. I'd like to send you your account statements, sir. Can I confirm your mailing address? I gave her my address on Maple Street. Sarah Chen was quiet for a moment. Sir, we have a different address on file for statement delivery. We've been sending your monthly statements to 2847 Riverside Avenue. Unit B. That was Michael's townhouse, Mr. Mitchell. I'm going to mark this account for investigation and send you complete statements going back to October 2022. You should receive them within 5 business days. In the meantime, I recommend you don't discuss this call with anyone until you've reviewed the information. Anyone. Why? Because if someone has been using your account without permission, you don't want to alert them before you understand the full scope of the situation. After she hung up, I sat in my kitchen for 2 hours, staring at the phone. My mind was working slowly, pushing through the fog of grief and medication, trying to process what I'd just learned. Transfers to Wells Fargo, purchases I didn't make, statements sent to Michael's address. The pieces weren't connecting yet, but doubt had been planted. That evening, Michael called with his usual check-in. How are you doing, Dad? Everything okay? Fine, I lied. Everything's fine. Good, good. Hey, I wanted to let you know I paid your property taxes early this year. Saved a little on the penalty fees. Thanks, son. That's thoughtful. He chatted for a few more minutes about Ethan's soccer practice, about how work was stressful but manageable, about maybe coming over Sunday for dinner. Normal conversation, nothing unusual. But for the first time in 14 months, I was listening differently, hearing what he wasn't saying. Why would my statements be sent to his address? Why was there a Wells Fargo account I didn't know about? Why had Sarah Chen sounded so concerned? I didn't sleep that night. Spent the dark hours lying in Margaret's spot on the bed, trying to remember if I'd authorized any transfers, signed any additional paperwork, agreed to anything beyond basic bill paying. By dawn, I knew I needed to see those statements. 5 business days meant the documents would arrive on August 22nd. That gave me a week to prepare, to decide what I was looking for and what I'd do if my suspicions were confirmed. On August 16th, the day after the fraud alert call, I made a decision that would change everything. I drove to Best Buy and purchased a home security system. 4 wireless cameras, 347 total, with smartphone connectivity and cloud storage. The young salesman, probably 25 years old, helped me select equipment simple enough for a 67-year-old to install. These are perfect for monitoring your property, he said. High-definition video, audio recording, motion activation. You can watch everything from your phone in real time. That's exactly what I needed. I spent that afternoon installing cameras in strategic locations. One in the kitchen, angled toward the table where Michael and Vanessa usually sat. One in the living room, positioned to capture the couch and recliner area. One in my home office, where I kept important papers. One in the hallway, covering the front door and stairs. By evening, I had complete video surveillance of my house, all feeding to an app on my phone that I barely knew how to use. August 17th, Michael came over unexpectedly. Just checking on you, Dad, making sure you're eating properly. I watched him walk through the house, looking at things differently now. Was he checking to see if I'd noticed anything? Looking for signs that I was getting suspicious? We sat in the kitchen, the camera recording every word, every gesture. How are finances looking? I asked casually. Everything under control. Your bills are paid. Your account is healthy. Nothing to worry about. What's my current balance? Michael hesitated just for a second. Why? You've never asked before. Just curious. Want to know where I stand. He pulled out his phone, made a show of checking something. You've got about $4,200 in checking right now. More than enough for monthly expenses. And savings? That's steady. You've got your emergency fund intact, around $34,000. Don't worry, Dad. Everything is being managed properly. But I was worried now because something in his tone felt rehearsed, too smooth. The camera captured it all. His slight hesitation, the way he wouldn't quite meet my eyes, the tension in his shoulders when I'd asked about balances. August 22nd, the Wells Fargo statements arrived. Thick manila envelope, return address from their fraud investigation department. I opened it with shaking hands, spreading documents across my kitchen table. 16 months of bank statements, October 2022 through August 2023. The first page nearly stopped my heart. Navy Federal transfers. Dotavi $800 monthly. Electronic transfer. Authorized user Michael R. Mitchell. Every single month since October, 88% of my pension being siphoned into an account I didn't know existed. I kept reading, page after page of purchases that detailed exactly how my son had been spending my retirement money. October 2022, $427 at Target, $234 at Kohl's, $156 at a restaurant I'd never heard of. November 2022, $892 at Best Buy, $445 at a furniture store, $234 at a wine shop. December 2022, $2,100 at a jewelry store, probably Vanessa's Christmas present, paid for by her father-in-law's stolen money. January 2023, $200 at a spa resort, $456 at an upscale grocery store, $234 at a toy store for Ethan. February 2023, the expenses increased. $1,590 for car repairs, $567 at a sporting goods store, $892 at a home improvement center. March 2023, the Toyota RAV4 purchase, $23,000 single transaction, paid from my savings account that had been linked to this Wells Fargo account. April 2023, the Cancun vacation. 6,800 total, flights, hotel, activities, meals, all documented in credit card statements that had been paid from my account. May 2023, the first outdoor kitchen set. 4,200 at Home Depot, delivered to their townhouse. June 2023, Ethan's birthday party expenses. 800 across multiple vendors, bounce house rental, catering, entertainment. July 2023, the furniture purchase. 8,900 for a complete living room and dining room set. August 2023, the second outdoor kitchen purchase that had triggered the fraud alert. 4,200, same store, same type of purchase. I calculated the total as I read through every statement, every purchase, every transfer. 47,380s in 14 months. My son had stolen 47,380s from my retirement accounts while telling me he was paying my bills and protecting my interests. The worst part wasn't the money, though that hurt. The worst part was the systematic nature of it. This wasn't impulse stealing or desperate borrowing. This was calculated financial abuse. Michael had set up automatic transfers, redirected my statements, created a separate account to hide the theft, and spent 14 months living a lifestyle he couldn't afford, while his widowed father sat alone in an empty house, believing his son was helping him. I spent the rest of that day reviewing every document, making notes, highlighting particularly egregious purchases. The vacation while I wasn't invited to Ethan's birthday party. The new car while he told me he was covering my increased expenses. The outdoor kitchen sets while he claimed my bills had gone up unexpectedly. Every lie documented in black and white. By evening, I'd made my decision. I wasn't going to confront Michael quietly. I wasn't going to give him a chance to explain or apologize or promise to pay me back. I was going to expose everything publicly and completely. But first, I needed more evidence. The bank statements proved the theft. But I wanted to document his lies, record his justifications, capture the moment he realized his carefully constructed fraud was falling apart. August 23rd, Michael called with his usual check-in. "Dad, how are you feeling today?" "I'm feeling clear-headed," I said carefully. "More alert than I've been in months." "That's great. Really great. Your grief is starting to lift." "Actually, I've been thinking about my finances, thinking maybe I should start managing my own accounts again." There was a pause, barely noticeable. "Dad, I don't think that's a good idea yet. You're still adjusting, still healing. Give it more time." "How much time?" "How long have you been managing my money now?" "Just since October." 14 months. Has it really been that long? Time flies. But you're doing important work, taking care of yourself, not worrying about mundane details. That's what matters. I let it drop, but the camera in my office captured the entire conversation. His reluctance to return control. His emphasis on me not worrying about details. His casual dismissal of my attempt to reclaim independence. All recorded, all saved to cloud storage that Michael didn't know existed. August 24th, I took my next step. I called Navy Federal Credit Union directly, asked to speak with an account supervisor. I need to understand exactly what access Michael Mitchell has to my account. The supervisor, a woman named Patricia Rodriguez, pulled up my information. "Mr. Mitchell, your son has full authorization as a secondary account holder. He can make withdrawals, transfers, access your statements, essentially manage the account as if it were his own. Can I revoke that access?" "Absolutely. You just need to come into a branch with valid identification. We can remove him immediately." "I'd like to do that." "When can I come in?" "We're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I'll be there Monday morning." "Mr. Mitchell, may I ask why you're removing his access? Has there been a problem? Let's just say I'm ready to manage my own affairs again." Patricia was quiet for a moment. "Sir, if you suspect fraudulent activity, we can freeze the account immediately and begin an investigation." "I appreciate that, but I'd prefer to handle this in person Monday morning." "Can you ensure that no transactions are processed between now and then?" "I can place a temporary hold on all outgoing transfers and withdrawals. The account will be frozen until you come in and provide further instructions." "Perfect. That's exactly what I need." I hung up feeling simultaneously empowered and sick to my stomach. In 3 days, I'd walk into Navy Federal and officially cut off Michael's access to my money. But before that, I needed him to incriminate himself completely. I needed recordings of him, admitting what he'd done, explaining why he'd done it, revealing the depth of his betrayal. August 25th, Saturday, I invited Michael and Vanessa over for dinner. I made pot roast, Margaret's recipe, the kind of comfort food that makes people relax and let their guard down. Ethan came too, excited to see his grandpa, unaware that his father had been systematically stealing from me. During dinner, I asked casual questions while the cameras recorded everything. "Michael, how's work treating you?" "Really good, Dad. Actually, I got a bonus last month. Nice amount, really helped with some expenses." "That's wonderful. What kind of expenses?" "Oh, you know, the usual. Car maintenance, household stuff." Vanessa bought some new furniture for the living room. "We've been fixing up the townhouse, making it more comfortable. With your bonus and some savings we'd put aside. We've been pretty careful with money lately." I almost laughed. Careful with my money. But I kept my expression neutral, continued eating, asked more questions. "How's Ethan doing in school?" "He's great. 3rd grade is going well. He's on the soccer team now, traveling team. That's not cheap, but we think it's worth the investment. Traveling team must cost quite a bit, it does. About $12,400 for the season, plus equipment and travel. But we managed to make it work." "How did you manage that?" Vanessa jumped in. "We've been budgeting really carefully, cutting back on unnecessary expenses, making smart financial decisions, like taking vacations to Cancun." The table went quiet. Michael set down his fork slowly. "That was a special circumstance. Vanessa's parents helped us out." "Strange," I said mildly. "I thought you told your boss you'd been saving for months." "We had been saving." Michael's voice was defensive now. "Vanessa's parents just contributed a little extra to make it really nice. Every word recorded, every lie documented." After dinner, while Vanessa helped Ethan with homework in the living room, Michael and I sat at the kitchen table. The camera angle was perfect, capturing both our faces clearly. "Dad," Michael said carefully, "is everything okay? You've been asking a lot of questions about money tonight. Just curious about how you're managing, making sure you're doing all right financially." "We're fine. Really good, actually. Things have been looking up lately because of your bonus. That and just being smarter about how we spend." "Michael, I want to ask you something directly, and I need you to be honest with me." "Sure, Dad, anything. Have you been taking money from my accounts beyond what's necessary for my bills?" His face went pale. "What? No, of course not." "Dad, where is this coming from?" "Because I received some documents this week that suggest otherwise." "What documents?" "Bank statements. From an account I didn't know existed. Transfers I didn't authorize. Purchases I never made." Michael stood up quickly. "Dad, I think you're confused. Your grief, the medications you're taking, sometimes they can cause memory problems." "I'm not confused. I know exactly what I'm looking at. And I know you've been stealing from me for 14 months. "That's insane. I would never." 47 380s, I interrupted. "That's how much you've taken. Cars, vacations, furniture, birthday parties, outdoor kitchens. All paid for with my retirement money." Michael's expression shifted from denial to calculation. He was trying to figure out how much I knew, what evidence I had, whether he could still talk his way out of this. "Dad, listen to me. Whatever you think you saw, there's an explanation. Then explain. Because right now, it looks like you've been living large on stolen money, while your widowed father sat alone, believing you were helping him. It's not like that. You don't understand the pressure I've been under. The expenses, Ethan's activities, Vanessa's needs, trying to maintain a certain lifestyle. So you stole mine. I was borrowing. I was going to pay you back. When? When were you planning to mention this borrowing? When were you going to ask permission instead of just taking?" Michael sat back down, his head in his hands. "I made a mistake, a terrible mistake. But it wasn't malicious. I needed help, and the money was there, and you weren't using it. That money wasn't there for you to take. That was my life savings, mine and your mother's. We can fix this. I'll pay you back, every penny. We'll set up a payment plan. I'll get a second job if I have to. You've had 14 months to come clean. 14 months to tell me the truth. Instead, you lied. You redirected my statements. You set up secret accounts. You stole from me while pretending to care for me. Dad, please. I'm your son. Family doesn't destroy family over money. You destroyed our relationship the moment you decided to steal from me. The camera captured everything. His admission of taking the money. His excuse that I wasn't using it. His claim that he was going to pay me back. His plea for family loyalty while showing none himself. That night after they left, I reviewed the footage. Clear video, perfect audio, undeniable evidence. I copied everything to 3 separate USB drives. One for my lawyer, one for the police, one for my safe deposit box. Sunday morning, I called my attorney, David Harrison. I'd used him to draft Margaret's will, handle her estate paperwork. Good man, early 60s, straight shooter who didn't tolerate dishonesty. David, I need to discuss something serious. Elder financial abuse by a family member. Come in Monday morning, first thing. Bring all your documentation. At 9 a.m. on August 28th, I walked into David Harrison's office with my folder of evidence. He spent 90 minutes reviewing everything. Bank statements, camera footage, recorded phone calls. His expression grew darker with each page. Robert, this is one of the most clear-cut cases of elder financial abuse I've ever seen. Your son has committed multiple felonies. What are my options? Legally, you can pursue criminal charges through the district attorney's office. Elder abuse in California carries serious penalties. 3 to 7 years in state prison, restitution requirements, permanent criminal record. And civilly, you can sue for full restitution plus damages. Given the documented nature of the theft and the violation of fiduciary duty, you'd likely win a substantial judgment. Will I ever see that money again? Probably not quickly. Michael doesn't have $47,000 sitting around. A court could order wage garnishment, asset seizure, payment plans, but recovery could take years. I don't care about the timeline. I care about justice. Then we pursue both tracks, criminal and civil. We make this hurt enough that he never even considers doing something like this again. By noon, we'd filed a police report with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Detective Sarah Martinez took my statement, reviewed my evidence, and assured me the department took elder abuse seriously. Mr. Mitchell, based on what you've shown me, I'm going to request an arrest warrant. Your son will be taken into custody, probably within 72 hours. Are you prepared for that? He stole $47,000 from me while I was grieving my wife. While he told me he was helping me. Yes, I'm prepared. Detective Martinez nodded approvingly. Good. Too many victims in your situation feel guilty or try to protect their abusers. The fact that you documented everything makes our job much easier. That afternoon, I went to Navy Federal and formally revoked Michael's access to all my accounts. Changed my passwords, updated my security questions, had new cards issued. Patricia Rodriguez personally handled everything. Mr. Mitchell, I'm so sorry this happened to you. Elder financial abuse is more common than people realize, but that doesn't make it any less devastating. How do I protect myself going forward? Never give anyone complete access to your accounts unless absolutely necessary. Review your statements monthly. Set up alerts for large transactions. And trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, investigate immediately. I'd learned that lesson the hard way. By evening, I'd completed my financial house cleaning. New account numbers, new cards, new security protocols. Michael was completely locked out. He couldn't access my money, couldn't see my balance, couldn't make any transfers or withdrawals. August 29th, Tuesday. Michael called me 12 times. I didn't answer. He left increasingly frantic voicemails. Dad, we need to talk. There's been some kind of error with your account. Navy Federal called me saying my access was revoked. Please call me back so we can sort this out. I ignored every message. Let him panic. Let him wonder how much I knew and what I was planning. August 30th, Wednesday. Vanessa called from a number I didn't recognize. Robert, this is Vanessa. Michael is really worried about you. He says you're not returning his calls. Is everything all right? Everything is fine now. Now, what does that mean? It means I know what you and Michael have been doing. I know about the stolen money, the secret accounts, the 14 months of theft. Robert, I don't know what you think happened, but I'm sure there's a misunderstanding. There's no misunderstanding. I have bank statements, video recordings, documented evidence of every dollar Michael stole from me. She was quiet for a long moment. What are you going to do? I'm going to let justice take its course. You should probably get a lawyer. I hung up before she could respond. August 31st, Thursday at 6:47 a.m. Detective Martinez called me. Mr. Mitchell, I wanted to give you advance notice. We're executing the arrest warrant today. Officers will pick up your son at his workplace around 10 a.m. I appreciate the heads up. How are you holding up? As well as can be expected. This is hard, but it's necessary. I understand. For what it's worth, you're doing the right thing. Letting this slide would only enable him to do it again, either to you or to someone else. At 10:15 a.m. my phone rang. Michael calling from an unknown number. Dad, I've been arrested. They came to my office, handcuffed me in front of everyone. Please, you have to fix this. I can't fix what you broke, son. This is insane. I'm your son. We can work this out. We don't need police involved. You made that choice when you stole from me, when you lied to me, when you violated my trust for 14 months. I'll pay you back. Every penny, I swear. You've had plenty of chances to do the right thing. You chose not to. Dad, please, I'm begging you. Drop the charges. I'll sell everything, the car, the furniture. I'll get the money back to you to witness the slow reconstruction of what was broken, to ensure the lessons are learned and remembered. March 15th, 2025. Michael's probation officer called me unexpectedly. Mr. Mitchell, this is Officer Daniel Freeman. I supervise your son's probation case. I wanted to reach out and let you know that Michael has been exemplary in every way. Perfect attendance at all required meetings, consistent employment, no violations whatsoever. That's good to hear. I appreciate you keeping me informed. There's something else. Michael has requested permission to take Ethan on a camping trip next month, spring break. Just the two of them. As part of his probation terms, he needs approval for overnight travel outside the county. I wanted to check with you first, see if you had any concerns. I thought about it. Michael taking Ethan camping, teaching him outdoor skills, building memories together. The kind of father-son experience that shapes boys into men. No concerns from me. Michael should spend time with his son. I'm glad to hear that, sir. For what it's worth, in 12 years of supervising probation cases, I've rarely seen someone as committed to rehabilitation as your son appears to be. He made a terrible mistake, but he's working hard to fix it, that he is. Have a good day, Mr. Mitchell. After the call, I sat thinking about redemption, about whether people can genuinely change or if they just learn to hide their true nature better. Michael seemed different, humbler, more aware of his impact on others. But was it real change or just compliance born of fear? Time would tell. It always does. March 20th brought an unexpected visitor. Vanessa, alone. She rang the doorbell mid-morning looking nervous. Robert, do you have a few minutes? I'd like to talk to you about something. I invited her in, made coffee, settled into the familiar routine of uncomfortable family conversations. What's on your mind? She pulled out a folded piece of paper from her purse. This is a check for $5,000. It's from me personally, not from Michael. From my earnings at Target, saved over the past year. Vanessa, the restitution is complete. You don't owe me anything, I know, but I was complicit in what Michael did. I knew he was taking your money. I benefited from it. I said nothing. That makes me guilty too, morally, if not legally. She pushed the check across my kitchen table. I can't undo my silence. I can't go back and be the person who should have stopped him. But I can do this. Please accept it. Not as debt repayment, but as acknowledgement of my failure to protect you when I should have. I looked at the check. $5,000 represented months of part-time retail work. Hours standing at registers, dealing with difficult customers, earning minimum wage while managing a household and raising a child. Why now? Why is this important to you? Because I want to be able to look Ethan in the eye when he's older and tell him I made this right. When he eventually learns what his father did, what I allowed to happen, I want to show him that I took responsibility. That I didn't just accept Michael's restitution as enough. I folded the check and handed it back to her. Keep your money, Vanessa. Use it for Ethan's education fund or family emergencies. What I need from you isn't money. It's a promise. What kind of promise? That you'll never let Michael convince you to do something you know is wrong. That you'll be the voice of conscience in that marriage. That you'll protect Ethan from ever being taught that shortcuts and theft are acceptable. She took the check back slowly, tears forming. I promise. I swear to you, Robert, if Michael ever shows signs of falling back into old patterns, I'll stop him. And if I can't stop him, I'll leave him. My son will not grow up thinking that stealing from family is something you can apologize away. That's all I want to hear. After she left, I felt something shift. Vanessa's visit wasn't about money. It was about accountability, about a daughter-in-law who'd remained silent during my victimization, finally finding her voice. Maybe the family was healing after all. Not quickly, not easily, but genuinely. April 2025. Spring arrived with cherry blossoms and renewed energy. I started a new routine. Morning walks through the neighborhood, greeting neighbors I'd ignored during the worst of my grief. Mrs. Patterson and I became coffee companions, meeting twice weekly to discuss gardening and grandchildren. Tom from the Postal Service reconnected, resuming our friendship that had lapsed during my isolation. The poker game at the Veterans Hall welcomed me back with good-natured ribbing about where I'd been. Life was returning to something resembling normal. Not the normal I'd known with Margaret that was gone forever, but a new normal, built on awareness and boundaries and hard-won wisdom. April 18th, Ethan's 10th birthday. Michael and Vanessa hosted a small party at their townhouse. Modest celebration, nothing like the extravagant affair Michael had thrown with my stolen money 2 years earlier. Pizza from a local shop, homemade cake, 8 of Ethan's friends running around the small backyard. I watched Michael interact with the kids, organizing games, laughing at their jokes, being fully present. He looked happy. Not the fake happiness of someone performing for an audience, but genuine contentment with simple pleasures. During a quiet moment, he approached me. Dad, thank you for coming. It means a lot to Ethan, to all of us. Of course I came. He's my grandson, I know, but after everything, I wasn't sure you'd want to be here. Michael, I'm angry at what you did. I may always carry some anger about it. But Ethan is innocent. He deserves to have his grandfather at his birthday party. He deserves to have his father too. And he has one because you made a choice. You could have pushed for maximum prison time. You didn't. I think about that every single day. Good. You should think about it. Let it motivate you to be better. It does. Every morning when I wake up in my own bed instead of a prison cell, I'm grateful. Every evening when I help Ethan with homework, I remember that I almost lost this. Your mercy saved my relationship with my son. It wasn't mercy, Michael. It was practicality. Ethan needed his father. That's the only reason, whatever you want to call it. I'm grateful. We stood watching Ethan blow out his candles, make his wish, dive into birthday cake with the enthusiasm only 10-year-olds possess. What do you think he wished for? I asked. Probably something related to soccer. Or maybe a new video game. When I was his age, I wished for things like that too. Simple wants, simple joys. Never thought about money or adult problems. That's how it should be. Kids should be kids. Yeah, they should. The moment was peaceful. Two men, father and son, connected by blood and separated by betrayal, finding common ground in love for a child. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet. But it was coexistence. And maybe that was enough for now. May 2025 brought unexpected news. David Harrison called with information about a class action lawsuit. Robert, there's a case being built against LifeShare Financial Services. Multiple families reporting similar patterns of elderly financial abuse. The law firm handling it thinks you might have valuable information. What kind of information? Details about how Michael accessed your accounts, what documentation he forged, how he intercepted your statements. Your case could help establish patterns that strengthen the lawsuit against financial institutions that failed to protect vulnerable customers. I'm not interested in another legal battle. David, you wouldn't be a plaintiff, just a witness, providing information that could help other families. The firm is trying to force banks to implement better safeguards for elderly customers. What kind of safeguards? Mandatory dual authorization for large transfers from accounts belonging to people over 65. Automatic alerts sent to multiple contacts when suspicious activity occurs. Better verification processes for address changes on statements. The kind of protections that might have caught Michael's theft earlier. I considered this. My experience could help prevent other families from suffering similar betrayals. Set up a meeting. I'll talk to them. June 15th, I met with attorneys from Brennan & Associates in downtown Los Angeles. They showed me files on 17 families who'd experienced nearly identical patterns of financial abuse by adult children. Redirected statements, forged authorizations, systematic theft over months or years. The similarities were striking. Mr. Mitchell, one of the attorneys, said, "Your case is particularly valuable because you documented everything so thoroughly. Most victims don't discover the theft until it's too late to gather evidence. You were meticulous. I was angry. Anger makes you careful. That carefulness could help reform the system. Would you be willing to testify before the California State Banking Committee about your experience? Testify publicly? Tell my story to government officials? Yes, the committee is considering new regulations for financial institutions. Personal testimony from victims carries significant weight. I thought about Margaret, about how she'd volunteered for every community cause, believed deeply in civic responsibility, insisted that speaking up was how change happened. I'll do it July 22nd, 2025. California State Banking Committee hearing, Sacramento. I sat at a witness table facing committee members with David Harrison beside me for support. The room was formal, intimidating. Politicians, banking executives, media representatives, all watching as ordinary people told stories of financial exploitation. When my turn came, I spoke clearly. My name is Robert Mitchell. I'm a 67-year-old widower, retired postal worker. In 2022, my son stole $47,000 from my retirement accounts over 14 months. He accomplished this because one bank allowed him to redirect my statements without verifying I'd authorized it. Another bank allowed him to set up accounts in my name and make transfers without adequate verification. The fraud only stopped because one alert employee noticed unusual activity and called me directly. The committee members listened intently as I detailed the timeline. Margaret's death, my grief, Michael's offer to help, the systematic theft, the discovery, the legal proceedings. I was lucky. I had the mental clarity to investigate once I was alerted. I had the financial resources to hire an attorney. I had the support system to pursue justice. Many elderly victims don't have those advantages. They suffer in silence, either unaware of the theft or too embarrassed to report it. One committee member, Senator Patricia Huang, leaned forward. Mr. Mitchell, what changes would have protected you? Mandatory alerts. If Navy Federal had been required to send me an email or text message every time someone changed my account settings, I would have known immediately that my statements were being redirected. What else? Dual authorization for large transfers. If any transfer over $5,000 from an account belonging to someone over 65 required 2 signatures or 2-factor authentication, Michael couldn't have moved money so easily. These requirements might be seen as inconvenient by customers who legitimately need to help elderly relatives. Inconvenience is better than theft. Besides, these safeguards could be built into the authorization process. When someone grants power of attorney or adds an authorized user, the bank could explain the protections and allow customers to opt in or out. Senator Huang made notes. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Your testimony is valuable. We'll take it under serious consideration. I left the hearing feeling like I'd accomplished something meaningful, not just for myself but for the Mrs. Pattersons. And Tom's mother and all the other elderly people who might face similar exploitation. August 2025, Michael completed his probation successfully. Officer Freeman called to inform me, Mr. Mitchell, I'm pleased to tell you that your son has fulfilled all terms of his probation. As of today, he's no longer under supervised release. How do you think he did? Exceptionally well. I told you before that he was exemplary, and that remained true through the entire 2 years. He's one of the success stories. Michael would carry a criminal record forever, a permanent reminder of his theft. Future employers would see it. Background checks would flag it. He'd lost more than money. He'd lost his clean reputation, his easy path through life, but he'd gained something too: humility, understanding, the knowledge that consequences are real and unavoidable. Thank you for keeping me informed. Officer Freeman, Mr. Mitchell, if I may say something off the record? Go ahead. You did the right thing. Pressing charges, holding your son accountable. I've seen too many families try to handle things privately, and it never works. The abuse continues or escalates. You broke that cycle. Your son is better for it, even if he didn't think so at the time. I appreciate that perspective. Take care, sir. That evening, Michael called. Dad, I finished probation today, I heard. Officer Freeman called me. I wanted to ask you something. Would you be willing to meet me somewhere? Not at my place or yours. Neutral ground. There's something I need to say. We met at a coffee shop near the community college. Neutral territory, as he'd requested. Public enough to prevent emotional explosions, but private enough for honest conversation. Michael arrived with a manila folder. What's this? I asked as he set it on the table. Every receipt, every payment. Complete documentation of the $47,380 I stole from you, and the $47,380 I paid back, plus the $5,000 from the accelerated payments, plus documentation of the civil settlement. I opened the folder. Meticulous records, organized chronologically. Bank statements, payment confirmations, cancelled checks. A complete financial history of his crime and restitution. Why are you showing me this? Because I want you to see that I know exactly what I did. Every dollar I took, I can account for. Every dollar I paid back, I have proof. I'm not minimizing it or forgetting it or trying to pretend it was smaller than it was. He pulled out a second document. This is a promissory note, written in my own hand, signed and dated. It says that if I ever steal from you or anyone else again, I forfeit any claim to inheritance, family relationships, or contact with Ethan. It gives you the right to immediately report me to authorities and pursue maximum criminal penalties. Michael, this isn't legally binding, I know, but it's morally binding to me. I'm giving you this as proof that I understand the seriousness of what I did and the permanent nature of my commitment to never doing it again. I read the note carefully, his handwriting decisive and clear. A self-imposed contract with consequences he'd determined himself. What do you want from me? Nothing. I don't want forgiveness or absolution or for you to tell me we're okay now. I just want you to know that I see what I did, fully, completely, without excuses or justifications. We sat in silence for several minutes. Michael, I'm not ready to say everything is fine between us. I may never be ready to say that, I understand, but I can say this. You've worked hard to make things right. You've completed your legal obligations and gone beyond them. You've been honest with me today in a way you weren't before. That matters. Does it mean we can rebuild? It means we can try slowly, with continued honesty and clear boundaries. But yes, we can try. He nodded, relief visible on his face. That's all I'm asking for. A chance to try. September 2025, the California State Banking Committee passed new regulations based partially on testimony from victims like me. Mandatory dual authorization for large transfers from accounts held by individuals over 65. Automatic alerts for address changes on account statements. Enhanced verification for adding authorized users. Better training for fraud prevention departments. The regulations wouldn't prevent all elder financial abuse. Determined thieves would find ways around safeguards, but they would make it harder. Make it more likely that unusual activity would be caught early. Give vulnerable people better protection. Senator Huang sent me a personal letter. Mr. Mitchell, your testimony was instrumental in our decision to implement these new protections. On behalf of the committee and the citizens of California, thank you for having the courage to share your story. I framed the letter and hung it in my office, next to Margaret's photo. She would have been proud. October 2025, 3 years since Margaret's death. The anniversary hit harder than I expected. 3 years of learning to live without her. 3 years of discovering her son's betrayal, fighting for justice, rebuilding relationships. 3 years of survival. I visited her grave on the anniversary. October 8th. Cool autumn morning with leaves falling around her headstone. Margaret Elizabeth Mitchell, 1952-2022. Beloved wife, mother, grandmother. I brought flowers. Her favorite pink roses. It's been quite a journey, love. Things you wouldn't believe. Our son stole from me. Can you imagine? Michael, who you raised to be honest and kind, became a thief. But he's working to fix it. Trying to be better. I think he might actually succeed. The cemetery was quiet except for wind through trees. I pressed charges. Sent him through the legal system. Almost sent him to prison. You would have understood, I think. You always said accountability matters more than comfort. A cardinal landed on a nearby branch. Margaret had loved cardinals, believed they were messengers from the other side. I'm okay now. Really okay. Not just surviving, but actually living again. Made new friends, reconnected with old ones. Even testified before a government committee about financial abuse. Who knew I'd become an activist in my retirement? The cardinal flew away. I miss you every day. But I'm learning to carry that missing without letting it destroy me. Learning to remember you with joy instead of just grief. I think that's what you'd want. I stayed for another hour, cleaning her headstone, pulling weeds from around the grave marker, sitting quietly with my memories. November 2025. Ethan turned 10 and a half. Not a milestone anyone usually celebrates, but he insisted on it. Half birthdays were important in his 10-year-old logic. I took him to lunch, just the two of us. Grandpa-grandson time, without parents mediating. Grandpa, can I ask you something? Anything, buddy. Why don't you live with us? Mom says you're all alone in your house. That seems sad. I'm not sad, Ethan. I like having my own space. And you guys visit all the time. But wouldn't it be easier if we all lived together? Easier isn't always better. Sometimes people need their own space to be healthy. Did you and Dad have a fight? The question caught me off guard. How much did Ethan know? What had Michael told him? Your dad and I had a disagreement. A serious one. But we're working through it. Mom says you're being very nice to forgive him. I haven't completely forgiven him yet, Ethan. Forgiveness is complicated. But I'm trying to move forward. There's a difference. What's the difference? Forgiveness means you've let go of the hurt entirely. Moving forward means you're willing to keep building a relationship even though the hurt is still there. One might lead to the other eventually. Or it might not. But you keep trying. That makes sense, I guess. The important thing is that I love you. And I love your dad, even when I'm angry with him. Love and anger can exist at the same time. Okay, can we get ice cream now? The simple pivot from deep conversation to dessert. The beautiful straightforwardness of children. Absolutely. Ice cream sounds perfect. December 2025. Christmas again. 3 years since the first Christmas without Margaret. 2 years since the awkward Christmas during legal proceedings. This year felt different. Michael and Vanessa invited me over Christmas Eve. Their townhouse was decorated modestly. No expensive items, no luxury gifts, but it felt warm, genuine. Dad, Michael said as I arrived, I want to give you something. He handed me a small box. Inside was a key. What's this for? Our house. I want you to have a key, so you can come over anytime, so you know you're always welcome. No more waiting for invitations or wondering if it's okay to visit. This is your family. This is your home too, whenever you want it to be. I held the key, feeling its weight. Thank you, son. We exchanged simple gifts. I gave Ethan a telescope he'd wanted. Gave Michael and Vanessa a gift certificate to a modest restaurant. They gave me a photo album they'd made. Pictures of our family over the years. Margaret and me on our wedding day. Michael as a baby, as a boy, as a young man. Ethan at various ages. A visual history of our family. The last page had a recent photo. Michael, Vanessa, Ethan, and me. Taken at Ethan's birthday party in April. We were all smiling. Not perfect, not without history, but together. Present day, March 2026. I'm sitting in my recliner, the same spot where this story began. But everything has changed. My accounts are secure. My relationship with Michael is rebuilding slowly and carefully. Ethan is thriving, unaware of how close his world came to complete destruction. Vanessa has found her voice, become a partner in protecting family integrity. I've contributed to regulatory reform that will help protect other elderly victims. The pain of Margaret's loss remains, but it's no longer overwhelming. I carry her memory with love instead of drowning in grief. Michael still has a criminal record. That's permanent, but he's employed, stable, committed to being better. His theft will follow him forever, a permanent reminder of his worst moment. But it doesn't have to define his entire future. As for me, I've learned lessons I never wanted to learn. That family can betray you. That trust must be earned continuously. That vigilance is necessary even with people you love. That justice and mercy aren't opposites, but partners in creating healthy relationships. The phone call from Wells Fargo changed everything. One alert employee asking one question about suspicious activity. That call saved me from continued exploitation, forced confrontation with painful truth, initiated a chain of events that ultimately protected both me and my son. The statement Michael opened wasn't the one he expected. He thought he'd find an easy mark, a grief-stricken old man, too confused to notice systematic theft. Instead, he found a father who paid attention, who fought back, who refused to be a victim. And in fighting back, I didn't just protect myself. I protected him too, from becoming the kind of person who could steal from elderly relatives without consequences, from teaching his son that theft is acceptable if you don't get caught, from building a life on a foundation of lies and stolen money. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is hold them accountable. Refuse to enable their worst behavior. Insist they face consequences and work to make things right. That's what I did. And while the journey has been painful and complicated and is still ongoing, I believe it was the right choice. The pension card sits in my wallet. The security cameras still record. The bank statements arrive monthly, reviewed carefully. I remain vigilant, but I'm no longer consumed by anger or fear. I'm just a 68-year-old widower, living my life, loving my grandson, carefully rebuilding trust with my son. Taking it one day at a time, moving forward without forgetting the past. That's my story. The story of how a hidden pension card, a phone call from a bank, and a statement that revealed everything led to justice, accountability, and the slow, difficult work of family healing, not a fairy tale ending, not complete forgiveness and restored innocence, but something more honest, more real, more human. And in the end, that's enough.